Hi friends, welcome to today's video. My name is Kim, also known as Yarning for a Smile, and this video is going to be a little bit different because today I'm going to do my first voiceover. When I recorded this video, there was a lot going on in my house and it was probably not the best day to record, but I really wanted to get this made and have the finished object. So today we're going to be looking at how to make a lovely fall wreath. And this one I made using Loops and Threads Royal Velvet in the color Mallard. And I used some fake florals on it that kind of fit my fall theme. So let's go get started, shall we? So today we'll be making this wreath into something fall and beautiful using the Loops and Thread Royal Velvet in the colorway Mallard. This has 54 yards. It's a number 7 bulky weight yarn, and it is just so pretty. It screams fall to me, but it also screams a little bit of possible Christmas. I'm using the biggest hook I have. I have no idea how big this thing is, and this foam wreath. This foam wreath is actually like a 15-inch or 15.5-inch that I also found at Michael's. The pattern is not mine, so I'm going to show the pattern name here as well as link it below. And we're going to start off by tying a knot. It doesn't have to be a pretty knot. It doesn't have to be a certain kind of knot. We're just going to tie a knot. Then you're going to take your crochet hook and you're going to lay it flat on your wreath, and we're going to start our first stitch. So since this pattern is by another designer, I am not going to read off the pattern because that would be kind of copyright infringement. I'm just going to show my process and talk about the process of doing it. I'm not going to lie, it was very awkward doing this. There is a video that the designer has on YouTube, which I'll also be linking. And it's easy to follow, but for some reason my brain was just not comprehending this. And it's just super awkward trying to hold your stitches at first and getting them around this foam wreath. I will say that after you get several stitches, it gets a lot easier and a lot faster. But it really does produce this really pretty decoration for a fraction of the cost of buying one. I think I got my yarn retailed for $11.99 and I got it when it was on sale for $6.99. Originally I bought 2 balls of this thinking I would need them. So it's only 54 yards, but you do not need them. And the yarn that she used is actually a yarn that Hobby Lobby sells, but it was on a Sunday when I went to get these supplies, which means Hobby Lobby was closed. The foam wreath, I think, was regular price, but because of my homeschool teacher discount, I got additional 15% off of it. The florals were on sale at the time when I was there, 50% off. Now that it's like a week later and I'm getting this up, I'm guessing they're probably going to be a little bit higher percentage off because there was already not that many left. But the good thing about this whole project is that it doesn't have to be one season specific. Like I made this with the intentions of using it for fall, but unlike the original designers, I'm not going to glue or adhere my florals in any way that makes it so I cannot remove them later on. As if you saw the supply list that I listed at the beginning, I actually use zip ties, and this allows me to, at the end of each season, cut them, take off those floral flowers that are fallish, and I can even use some that are more in season and still keep this color of the velvet wreath up. And the reason I did that is because this color is actually kind of like the accent color in our home. There's a lot of this blue, green, teal with grays all of our walls are in the process of being painted gray, and I just really like the clean look of almost white walls and pops of color. As you can see here, I am really starting to move along, and the way that this stitch that she has makes a little ridge along the side of the wreath. You can't really tell it that much in the velour, unfortunately, but I do plan on making another kind of wreath, possibly for winter anyways, and I may pick up the yarn she used because I think it's very cozy, Christmassy looking, the white that she used. I just was not ready to incorporate that right now in our home, although I do have the itch to decorate for Christmas. So we are going to speed this up a little bit so we can see further down the line. So as you can see, I've got quite a bit done at this point. Each time I make a loop around the wreath, I keep squishing it to make it tighter. But the main thing is to remember to go through the wreath, pull up the yarn, wrap it around the back over, and then pull it over the back, grab it in your hook, and pull it through. That's through the wreath, over the hook, let it slide down, come up from the back, hook it, and pull it through both loops. And that's going to give you that really pretty detail on the side. So it's a really, really great project, and it is a completely free tutorial. And for some reason, though, that pulling it through and then over the back just kept warping my brain. As you come to the end, you just want to keep making sure that you're continuously squishing the stitches together as much as possible. If you're using this velvet yarn, if you're using the yarn that she used, I think you're going to have pretty good coverage, but this stuff is so slippery and it does compact. I think it just looked a lot better really thick on there because it gave the illusion that it was this big plush wreath when really it's not. And I was surprised at how I thought I was using a bunch of yarn, and I kept looking down and there's just a ton of it sitting in the chair. My goal was to use as much as possible for this project so I won't have that much left over. And so once I got to the point where I cannot really make any more stitches, I knew it was time to make a loop to hang with. So to make my little hanging loop, because I thought, hey, why not use more of the yarn that's still left over in the chair, pulled up the working loop, pulled up a string from the back, and I wrapped my tail around so I would basically catch my tail a couple of times just as one way to make sure that it's not going anywhere. And so after I chain a couple of loops, I'm going to drop back down and to that first chain and do a slip stitch to close my hanging. Get ready to cut the end. Leave a long enough tail so you have a good bit to weave in. Now it's time to do the decorating. So for this, I'm using my favorite all-purpose pliers that I've had forever and some florals that I found at Hobby Lobby. I love this one. This stuff makes a mess though. Oh my goodness, it was everywhere. but I love the way it looks like wheat, and it kind of goes with the overall fall theme, as well as I love the contrast of the almost white against the dark velvet mallard. So I only bought one stick for this. I really did not know how I was going to utilize it, but I determined that I was just going to cut it into basically two pieces or three pieces, lay it as the base of the floral that I was going to use. I bought a bunch of florals actually, because I honestly had no idea what direction I wanted to go in. But you definitely need a really good pair of pliers to do this that have the ability to cut through wires. And as you see here, sometimes you really kind of have to twist and turn to get it to cut through. These could probably be sharper. Again, they're my favorite go-to craft pliers that I've had for probably over 10 years. And that is why they look as horrendous as they do. So I think in the original video, Rebecca has you glue all the florals down, which, I mean, yes, that is an effective way to get them to stay. However, I kind of want to be able to have the ability to use this wreath year round, just because I really love that color and I love different textures in our home, and that velvet is one of the soft luxury textures that I like because we don't really have a lot of it except for some throw pillows. I did buy this stem that I was thinking about incorporating. It's kind of like a very pale pink, but I actually decided to keep that for a future project. And I picked up this flower, and which was so gorgeous. Oh my goodness. It was this huge sunflower. It was so overbearing. And so here I am trying out several different flowers, but I bought that one sunflower there. And to me, that is fall, especially around where I live because there are a lot of sunflower fields. So I kind of kept debating on it, and I really had a hard time. So technically, I only had to buy two florals for this. Pretty much returned all the other ones. I grabbed some of my favorite zip ties. I get these from the Dollar Tree. So I move everything out of the way. And basically, I'm going to stick the zip tie through the petal stem because there's a little hole. Stack the petals on top of each other, and then zip tie 2 to 3 leaves together to make it look full. And then once you do that, it really just comes down to layering. I laid the white hay looking stuff down on the wreath, got it to where I kind of wanted it, and then basically just wrapped the zip ties around the wreath, pulling them and holding that in place as I pulled them snug. Then I got another smaller zip tie and attached it to my bundle of leaves, zip tied it down with the smaller ones, and now it's time for the main focus point, that sunflower. So what I did was I actually got a little screwdriver and I heated up the metal tip so it got really hot with a lighter so that I could actually poke it through the stem and put a hole. And this will allow me to slide one of those smaller zip ties in it and let me zip tie it to the base of leaves that I had bunched up. I did trim it just a little bit so it wouldn't be so long, but it was a perfect solution to get it to lay how I wanted it. So once I got it in place, I was able just to maneuver it around and zip tie it down. And then I flipped it over, cut up all the little ends of my zip ties, and voila. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is my first time doing a voiceover on a video. Not sure how the finished project is going to be, but I greatly appreciate you watching and supporting the channel. And I hope you continue to follow along in my crafting adventures as I come up with other fun projects and just share the love of creating. I hope you all have a great week and see you later.